here. I'm already logged in to our GeoPortal, and if you don't believe that I can do that, let's just log into another session here. Basically, this is an internet solution. So what I'm doing right now is I'm connected to the network that they have here. I've VPN'd into my network back in Houston, and now we're hitting the GeoPortal that's actually residing on a server there. So this is the .NET Nuke interface. We require that users log in, but it's really a simple click of the button, carries their Windows authentication over, and we just use that as a means of tracking how people are using the website. So that gives us good statistics on what maps they're using, what data layers they're consuming, and so on, and who's actually benefiting from the GeoPortal. As I mentioned, the GeoPortal is regionally based, so when you log in, across the top you'll see a page for every region that we have. And we have a global section as well. In that global section, where we have data that maybe covers multiple regions or just the entire universe, we throw everything there. And we try to keep everything organized the same way. So if I were to go into a particular region, what you're going to see is a very simple and intuitive page that shows maps and data. Now we're also trying, this is fairly new, trying to add the local resources at that region so that people that use this have some notion about who to go to locally for help and assistance. Of course, they can always come back to Houston and ask for our assistance as well. So maps, data, and maps, as you see here, are in a variety of different formats. So if you're interested in looking at a web map, you can just click here. ArcView Project, you can download it here. But we also have these quick links. And this is very similar to the ArcGIS Online. I think that's a great model, and if you just click on one of these maps here, then it will bring that map up. I'm going to jump over to Argentina, and you'll see we have the same sort of look and feel here. We've done quite a bit of work with them, and I'm going to try to run a web ADF map. We'll see how the network supports this. So this is actually running from the Houston network, and it's data that we put into our spatial database that we spatialize from Argentina. So we run an FME script, grabs that data, and brings that in. So that was actually fairly performant. Now the web ADF is a great interface for a GIS user. So the GIS user has to have some notion about layers and turning things on and off, about the symbology, being able to zoom in, zoom out. And so we provide all those tools, and of course this is a fairly easy framework. When you author something in ArcView, you can almost immediately have it out in a web ADF or web mapping application. We put our own little framework around there, and that framework allows us to do a few other things. For instance, if I'm searching for something, I can extend this to other layers as well. I can search on a particular feature and find that feature and zoom immediately to it. I can also print and export this to a PDF or actually any other graphic format that you see listed here. So if I were to print this map, I could put a scale, author, title. I'm just going to submit it. And essentially now we're using ArcGIS Server to produce that map, create a PDF of that, and store that out on the file server that the user can then get to through a link. And so it'll show up in our results panel here. So this is really kind of the typical implementation of this sort of framework. But what we were finding was the web map was kind of slow. It wasn't, it looked okay, but it doesn't look great, okay? So it's kind of falling short of some of our expectations. I'm going to jump back out of that map and pretend that, again, I'm a GIS user. And as a GIS user, what do I want to do? Well, I want to make maps and then do something with those maps, right? So this website, the GeoPortal, is the starting point for somebody that wants to make maps. So let's say I'm starting here. Now, how many people have been here before, right? Okay, I want to make a map. I'm new to the region. Where do I get started, okay? So if I jump back to the GeoPortal, let's say we're, again, US Central here. And I know I want wells on my map. Well, the way I've organized my data should be fairly intuitive where the wells are going to be. And if I come out here and go to this category of well and production data, I have a list of different formats, first layer files, then optionally KML and even shape files, although we really try to avoid using shape files. But primarily this is the GIS user's paradise, right? So I've got a layer file that I can go to. Let's say I'm interested in well surface down here at the bottom. I simply click on download. If I have ArcView installed on my desktop, which of course I do, I can open that layer file, and guess what's going to happen? Let's go back to our map. Try to go back to our map. Let's try this map. Okay, so that layer file automatically was attached to that empty container. Okay, whew, how great is that? Well, it's even better because guess what? That layer file has the symbology. So now the GIS user doesn't even have to worry about that. Now he can change it, but it's already pre-format, pre-symbolized for them. It gets better than that. It makes a connection, a pointer to the spatial database. So what happens when the spatial database gets updated? This person's map is automatically updated. So that's a great thing for somebody building a map. We heard a presentation earlier where somebody had 30,000 shape files on their network, and Jim's wells and Sarah's leases and so on. Which one's right, which one's wrong? There's no guess here. It's either all wrong or it's all right, okay, but it's coming from the same source, right? Now, let me show you also how we're leveraging off of some of the ESRI technology. Every section has a link to satellite imagery, and just because we couldn't think of a good place to put regular imagery, we put it there as well. And we have these different categories, but I'm going to take you to ArcView layers. And again, we have layer files for our imagery, and one very nice layer file that we have is the ESRI ArcGIS online imagery. So we created a layer file from that, put that on our GeoPortal. I'm going to open that, jump back over to my map, wait a few moments here. And voila, I've got, let's see. Now I've got, I'm sorry, I think we jumped over to the other map. Voila, we don't have anything. Okay. Let's kill some of this and try that one more time. So I'm going to hit our link and open that map. And of course the idea is that that layer file will automatically launch, and that's something fairly new, I think in 9.3, that allows you to take a layer file, double click on it, and actually have it launch ArcView. So if I didn't have ArcView up, it would actually bring ArcView up. But since I had ArcView, in fact I had several ArcView windows up, the last active one is the one that it's going to attach to. So here we've just brought in now that rich ArcGIS online imagery, and that's now a layer of the map. So really in 5 minutes, this user who had nothing suddenly has this great base map. I've got wells on there. I can go back and get my geopolitical data. I can go get my leases. I can go get my land grid. Provided all that data is there and updated, then the user really doesn't have to do much at all except go grab that data. So the GeoPortal is really a framework for users to get to their data. Now, if you're even lazier than that, you could actually just really go straight to the ArcView project, just like we did with the web map, and just click on this link. Here we have pre-built maps that have all the layers that you would want to have in a base map already built for you. So if I go here, this would be an example of what that map would look like. I would download it here, but that's going to take just a little bit longer through this network connection. So again, the intent, maps, data, and GIS resources. So we deployed our beautiful baby. We were so proud of it. And we found out that we did have people using it, but that usage was really just the GIS users, okay? Just the hardcore GIS users. And so that kind of troubled us a little bit. So the next part of the presentation is how we address that particular issue. Let me close some of these windows here. Cancel that.